If you could count for a year, would you get to infinity or somewhere in that vicinity?
Okay, we looked at the axioms. Now let's look at some simple propositions based off of them. In fact, the first equation is from the axioms. 1 equals the probability of the sample space, and that's equal to, if we union two complementary events, we get the addition of each individual events, and that's of course equal to the sample space. If that doesn't make sense, you should go back and look at some earlier videos, I think. From this first equation, if we reorder it, we get the first proposition, that if we have a complementary event E to the C, that's equal to 1 minus the probability of the event itself. And that's pretty obvious from the Venn diagram, which you can see how we get this kind of equation where S is the sample space and that's equal to 1. If E is contained in F, thus the event E is a subset of the occurrences of F. So for example, let's say you roll a die and F is when you roll a 1, 2, or 3, and E is just when you roll a 1, so then probability of E is going to be less than the probability of F. So how can they be equal? Well, let's say E and F are both listening to 1, 2, and 3, then the probabilities are going to be equal. Proposition 3, PE union F is equal to the probability of E plus the probability of F minus their intersection. And these two events can be any events. So let's take an example. So where they're not intersecting, the intersection is 0, it's just the union is just the addition of the individual events. Where they do intersect, now you have some overlap. Now you can see from this cross-section that you're counting this overlap twice, once in E and once in F. Therefore, if you want to get the probability of their union properly, you take the probability of E plus the probability of F minus their intersection. You can see here that the intersection would have been counted twice, so you have to subtract it. I hope that made some sense. Now, let's say you're trying to do PE and E union F union G. It's a little bit more complicated, and I'm not going to have Venn diagrams on this one, so stay with me. Now, if E union F is just treated as one event, you can really expand it the way you regularly would. Now, this last term, PE union F, then intersection G, so just throw in the G between the unions, and therefore you're back to that original problem we had. So you can always simplify it down to this original proposition. So now that we have P union F plus PG minus PEG union FG, so you just expand it like you regularly would. E union F is really easy, we've done that before. And then the EG union FG, you just treat them as one event. It's two letters, but you can just treat it almost as one letter. It's worth mentioning that EG intersection FG is just EGF, because G intersect G is just G. Now, proposition 4 is just the general equation of pretty much what we just did. But my advice to you would be to know how to simplify it down using the earlier proposition, and if you can do that, you'll always be safe. And when you do have the equation available to you, this one right here, you can always refer to it if need be. Now, remember, comment and rate. Thank you so much for watching my video.
Yes, try as you may, you just can't get away from mathematics.